loves, welcome back to my channel. I'm Hollyana and today we're doing a June of 2022 temperature blanket update. Let's do it! Do you guys know what this means? The fact that we have finished June. Do you know what this means? This means that our temperature blanket is officially halfway done. We are halfway through the year, which is just crazy in itself. Like, I still feel like I'm stuck in 2019 and we're already halfway done with 2022. It's crazy. I can't believe how pretty this blanket is turning out. Like, I knew that I liked the colors whenever I picked them out, but look at this. Look at this blanket. Look how pretty this is. This is crazy. Someone said in my comment section that it looks like a sunset, and now that's all I see whenever I look at it. I just see this beautiful sunset, and we are literally only halfway done. I can't even imagine what this blanket is going to look like when we're finally finished. We always have this problem in videos where I'm trying to show you guys how big the temperature blanket actually is. So I'm gonna go ahead and superimpose over here a video of me laying my temperature blanket out on my bed to show you guys how big the temperature blanket is right now, being halfway done on a queen size bed. So there we go. There's how big it's gonna be on a queen bed. Just take that and double it, and that's how big our blanket is going to be. If you're watching this video, I assume that you are familiar with what a temperature blanket is, but just in case you stumbled upon this by accident, I'm gonna tell you what a temperature blanket is. A temperature blanket is a blanket where you crochet or knit one row for every single day of the year, and you choose the color for each day based on a temperature chart. You can choose any colors that you want. This is personally what my temperature chart looks like. Some people use the low temperature of every day, some people use the high temperature of every day, and some people use the average temperature of every day. I personally am using the average temperature of every day, and this has caused some controversy in my comment section. Because if you've been following my journey very closely, you know that there's only two colors we haven't used yet. We haven't used Pool, which is for an average of 9 degrees Fahrenheit and below, and we haven't used Cherry Red, which is for an average of 90 degrees Fahrenheit and above. And since I'm doing the average of every day and not the high, here in Nashville, Tennessee, we have yet to have a day average in the 90s. We did have one day that was 89 degrees. It was almost 90, but it wasn't. It was still in the 80s, so we were still using coral. And speaking of coral, our entire month was coral and gold. Like, look at this. This is where June started. Our entire month was coral and gold, which I love. Those are my two favorite colors in the blanket. So in my comment section, I'm getting a lot of comments from people saying, today it was 97 in Nashville, you can finally use Cherry Red. And that would be true if we were doing the high of every day. But since we're doing the average of every day, it's kind of crazy how hot it really has to be to average in the 90s. So you have to have a high of like 100 degrees and you have to have a low of 80 degrees. That way we would have a perfect average of 90 degrees Fahrenheit and we would be able to use our Cherry Red. And I was looking into the history of Nashville, Tennessee temperatures, and last summer in Nashville, Tennessee, there was actually only one day that averaged in the 90s. So now I'm thinking, did I mess up by doing the averages and not by doing the highs? Like, are we never going to be able to use Cherry Red? I guess we'll find out. And this is my first temperature blanket that I've ever done. So last month I talked to you guys a little bit about mistakes that I thought I had made on my temperature blanket. And I would like to revise one of my mistakes. Last month I told you guys that I thought I made the blanket too wide and I thought it wasn't going to end up being the right size. But now, laying my blanket halfway completed on a queen size bed, I actually think the size is perfect. And I'm really sorry, I know a lot of people have asked me for how many stitches I started with across. I didn't count. I actually don't know. I could maybe try to go in here and count. This would take a long time, but what I did was I crocheted my first chain long enough to go all the way across a queen size bed and hang off the edge by like 6 inches on each side. So as you can tell by this photo, this blanket is going to be massive. Like I said, take what this blanket looks like right now and double it. So I originally thought the blanket was going to be too fat and not tall enough. I take it back. I actually really like how wide the blanket is, and I think it's going to be the perfect length, so it will perfectly cover my queen size bed. The other mistake that I talked to you guys about last month, I still agree that this was a mistake, and I'm still trying to figure out how to counteract this mistake. So, a lot of people on temperature blankets will actually put a divider in between their months. They will crochet a white line or a black line or a certain color in between each month to make a barrier. And when I was looking at that, at first I really didn't like the way it looked. I thought it kind of took you out of the moment. Like I really love this whole sunset ombre look, and I didn't want to have big white stripes or big black stripes throughout it. But now I really want to be able to look at it and know what month is what. So I'm trying to figure out how to go in and add markers after the fact. Right now, just so I kind of can keep my place, I have been adding these little markers in. So we have January, February, March, April, May, and June. My favorite suggestion so far has been to take the average temperature of every month and then crochet a border using the average temperature of every month along the border. Now I haven't went through and found the averages of every month, but something that I'm thinking I'm probably gonna run into is I'm probably gonna have 2 months at some point back to back that have the same average temperature. So I don't wanna have like a whole stripe of like frosty green that goes through 2 months, if that makes any sense at all. So if you guys have any other suggestions of how I should mark out my months, please let me know. I'm open to all the ideas. So if you have an idea of how I could separate out my months, let me know in the comment section. So as I stated, this temperature blanket is based on the average temperature in Nashville, Tennessee, which is where I live. But if you guys have seen some of my recent short form videos, you may know that I'm now going to be splitting my time between Nashville, Tennessee and LA. And I'm so excited about this whole new chapter of my life, exploring LA, diving into that whole world. One of the questions I've been getting from you guys since I made this announcement is your temperature blanket going to remain Nashville temperatures, or whenever you're in LA, are you going to use the LA temperatures? I'm going to keep this whole blanket based on Nashville, Tennessee, but I don't want LA to be left out. So I asked you guys in a short form video, what kind of temperature project should we make for LA? And so many people said a pillow, and my mind was blown. I don't know why, but I did not think of a pillow until I got tons of comments on YouTube, TikTok, and Instagram saying, make a pillow for the LA temperatures to go with your Nashville temperature blanket. And I am just obsessed with this idea. So I'm thinking what we're gonna do is we're gonna start a pillow. We are going to make a temperature pillow for the LA temperatures. I have went ahead and started gathering the average temperature every day for LA and created a second temperature chart. We are going to be using the same exact colors as we do for our Nashville temperature. And I know I said that I regret with my blanket using the average temperature every day and not the high temperature every day. I really want there to be like a continuity between my LA and Nashville blanket so I can directly see when it was cooler, when it was hotter in Nashville versus LA. So I'm going to be using the average temperature in LA as well. That way it matches my Nashville temperature blanket. So along with crocheting the whole month of July, my goal this month in July is to also catch up from January 1st through July 31st on my temperature pillow based on the LA average temperature. So guys, you have to hold me to it. The first week of August, I'm gonna be doing another temperature blanket update like I do the first week of every month. I am going to have the temperature pillow caught up. I can do this because it's a lot shorter, you know, like the temperature pillow, I'm gonna be going up, down, up, down, up, down. And so it's probably only going to be this tall. So I'm gonna be changing rows a lot more quickly, but at the same time, that means I'm going to be cutting colors and changing colors a lot more often, which takes longer. So I really do think that if I stick to it, I can catch up in July for my temperature blanket, and I really hope I can go from January 1st to July 31st of my temperature pillow. I've been getting so many comments of people saying, how do you stick with it? How are you doing it? How are you staying this committed to a project? And it's all because of you guys. Like, I get comments every single day asking about the temperature blanket, asking for updates, and it makes me so happy that so many people are involved in this journey, and it really feels like we're going on this journey together. So I seriously cannot thank you guys enough for just coming with me on this super silly, super fun, crafty journey. I love sharing my life with you, my crafts with you, and as I have shared, this blanket will not be done until December 31st, which is crazy to think is only 6 months away. So if you want to see how the blanket turns out, be sure to subscribe, and don't forget that I do post updates the first week of every month sharing how our temperature blanket is turning out. See you next time.